Love Judy.
I'm Jessica Dupart. A lot of people know me as Judy. I am the owner of Kaleidoscope Hair Products. To date, the company's probably made close to $40 million. Also birthed Kaleidoscope Realty, Kaleidoscope Management, Kaleidoscope Cares, Kaleidoscope Shipping and Receiving. Yeah, all of that.
The moment DA Brat stepped into the studio, it felt like everything around her had shifted. The usual confidence, the strong exterior that fans were so accustomed to, seemed to fade into the background. Today, DA Brat wasn't just a superstar, she was a woman revealing the pain she had been carrying for so long. For the first time, DA Brat was opening up about something so personal, so deeply painful, that it would forever change her image in the public eye. Today, she was about to expose the truth about Judy's secret life with men, something DA Brat had been keeping to herself for far too long. As DA Brat spoke, her voice trembled with emotion. And for the first time in a long time, the world saw her not as a symbol of strength but as a woman who had been broken by betrayal. She had always been the one who remained composed, the one who never let the world see her weaknesses. But this was different. This wasn't just a breakup, it was an emotional breakdown. A betrayal that had shattered her trust and her heart. DA Brat's tears fell freely as she finally shared what no one knew, the truth about Judy's secret life with other men. "I never thought it would come to this," DA Brat said, her voice raw. "But sometimes love just isn't enough." Her words, though soft, carried the weight of years of hurt, years of suppressed feelings, and the crushing realization that the person she loved most had been living a double life. She could no longer keep this pain to herself. She had to speak out. And as she did, the weight of her heartbreak was felt by millions. "I didn't want to believe it," she continued, choking on her words. "I didn't want to think that she could betray me like this. But when I saw the truth, there was no going back. It was over."
I was just happy, and we were joking around one day saying, "I'm gonna post it." I said, "No, I'm gonna post it." And she was trying to beat me to it, and I was trying to beat her to it. Then when she posted, I was like, "Guess we just came out." Oh my God. And I was like, oh my God. But I got so much love and so many people saying wonderful things to me, supportive things. Like, I'm talking 98 to 2% negative of the haters and trolls that have to exist and live in misery.
In this moment, DA Brat wasn't just exposing Judy's secrets. She was letting the world see her at her most vulnerable, her most human. DA Brat had spent months, even years, ignoring the small signs, moments where something didn't feel quite right. She had always believed in the love she shared with Judy, convinced that they could weather any storm together. But deep down, DA Brat knew that things weren't perfect. There were moments of emotional distance, days when Judy seemed distant, distracted, or absent. At first, DA Brat chalked it up to the pressures of life, their careers, and the stresses that come with being in the public eye. But the cracks in their relationship began to grow wider and deeper, and DA Brat couldn't ignore them anymore. "I kept telling myself it was just a phase," DA Brat explained, "that we could work through it. But over time, I realized the truth. We weren't the same people anymore. We weren't the team we once were." The more DA Brat tried to push through, the more the pain and distance grew. And then, one day, the truth came crashing down. It wasn't one single moment. It was a culmination of all the things DA Brat had tried to ignore. "I thought we had everything," DA Brat said, her eyes filled with tears. "But I didn't know her anymore. I didn't know the person she had become." There was one moment in particular when DA Brat knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that her relationship with Judy was over. It wasn't an explosive argument or a dramatic confrontation. It was a quiet moment of reflection. DA Brat was sitting alone, looking through some of the messages she had found, piecing together the truth that Judy had tried so hard to hide. "It wasn't just one man," DA Brat revealed. "It was a pattern, and when I realized that, it hit me like a ton of bricks. The woman I trusted had been living a lie." In that moment, DA Brat's heart sank. She knew that no matter how much she had loved Judy, no matter how much they had built together, the betrayal was too much to overcome. The realization wasn't sudden. It had been creeping up on her for months, but now it was undeniable. "I couldn't trust her anymore," DA Brat said, her voice heavy. "And without trust, love doesn't stand a chance." When DA Brat shared her heartbreaking revelation on live TV, the world reacted in shock. Fans who had long admired DA Brat for her strength were left in disbelief. "How could this happen? How could Judy betray her like this?" one fan tweeted. The pain in DA Brat's eyes was clear, and the public rallied behind her. It wasn't just about the affair. It was about the love, the trust, and the bond that had been destroyed. But as much as DA Brat received support, there were also questions. Fans wanted to know more. Why hasn't Judy said anything? People wondered. Why is she staying silent after everything DA Brat has shared? The world was waiting for answers, and Judy's silence only intensified the curiosity. The longer she stayed quiet, the more people speculated about her motives and her reasons for hiding the truth. Her silence is telling, one insider remarked. It's like she doesn't want to face the reality of what's happened. As DA Brat bared her soul to the world, Judy remained eerily silent. While DA Brat had chosen to speak her truth, Judy kept to herself, refusing to address the allegations. Fans were left wondering why Judy wasn't responding. Was she feeling guilty? Was she too ashamed to face the public? The silence only fueled the speculation. It's like she's avoiding the situation, one of DA Brat's close friends commented. And that makes it worse. The public's desire for Judy's side of the story grew with each passing day, but Judy's silence remained. Some believed that Judy didn't know how to handle the truth coming out. Others felt that she was simply too embarrassed to speak. Regardless of the reason, her silence created more questions than answers. And as the weeks went by, the more people began to wonder if Judy would ever come forward to explain herself. After everything had been exposed, after all the raw emotions and deep hurts were laid bare, DA Brat found herself at a crossroads. She had reached the point where there was no turning back, and the weight of the decision that loomed before her felt insurmountable. The love she had once poured into her relationship with Judy now felt like a distant, painful memory. Something that had once been vibrant and full of hope, but was now tainted by betrayal. DA Brat had placed her trust in Judy, had believed that their connection was unbreakable. But in the end, it had shattered in a way that left her heartbroken and exhausted. The woman she had once trusted, loved, and dreamed of building a future with had become the very person who had hurt her beyond words. It was a cruel reality to face, but one that DA Brat could no longer deny. Leaving Judy was not a decision DA Brat arrived at quickly. It was a choice she had fought against for weeks, even months. She had tried to salvage the relationship, to hold on to the fragments of what they once had. But as the days passed, it became clearer and clearer that the bond they shared was beyond repair. There were moments when DA Brat hoped things would get better, that the love they had once shared would somehow return. But deep down, she knew that hope was futile. The betrayal was too deep, and the wounds too fresh. The emotional toll had drained her in ways she hadn't anticipated. Each passing day brought more pain, more frustration, and more heartbreak. DA Brat found herself questioning everything, her choices, her emotions, and her worth. But in the end, she knew that the decision to walk away was the only option left. I didn't want to make this choice, DA Brat admitted, her voice tinged with sadness. But I had to. I couldn't keep fighting for something that was already lost. It wasn't a decision that came from a place of anger, nor was it a decision made in haste. It was the result of weeks, if not months, of internal struggle, of trying to come to terms with the reality of the situation. DA Brat had given so much of herself to this relationship, but the emotional investment had become one-sided. The love she had given was no longer being reciprocated in the way it once had been, and the trust she had once held in Judy had been shattered beyond repair. The realization that their relationship was over, truly over, was devastating. But DA Brat also knew that holding on to a relationship that was no longer healthy would only cause her more harm in the long run. The betrayal had taken its toll on DA Brat in ways she couldn't fully express. It had eaten away at her sense of self-worth, leaving her feeling broken and lost. She had spent so much time trying to understand what had gone wrong, trying to make sense of the lies and the hurt that had piled up over time. But in the end, the answers didn't matter as much as the simple truth that she couldn't continue to fight for something that wasn't real anymore. The emotional weight of the situation had become too much to bear, and DA Brat knew that in order to heal, she had to let go, not just of Judy, but of all the pain that had consumed her for so long. The decision to walk away from Judy wasn't easy. It was a choice that came with immense emotional weight, and the guilt of it all lingered in the air. DA Brat felt the sting of loss, the ache of letting go of someone she had once believed in with all her heart. But she also knew that she couldn't continue to live in the past, holding on to something that no longer existed. The relationship had changed, and so had she. She had grown stronger through the pain, and the process of letting go had become an act of self-love and self-preservation. She had given so much of herself to the relationship, but now it was time to give that love back to herself. Walking away from Judy was a heartbreaking decision, but it was also the most empowering one DA Brat could have made. It wasn't about resentment or anger, it was about recognizing her own worth and choosing to put her happiness first. It was a painful, yet necessary, step in the healing process. It wasn't easy, but it was the only way forward, DA Brat said, her voice filled with a mixture of sorrow and resolution. She knew that this was the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. It was a chapter of healing, growth, and self-discovery. And though the road ahead would be difficult, DA Brat was ready to face it. She had made the hardest decision of her life, but it was the right one for her, and that was all that mattered. With the decision to move on came a new chapter in DA Brat's life. The road ahead wasn't going to be easy, but DA Brat was ready to face it. She had spent too long focusing on someone else's happiness, neglecting her own, and now it was time for her to take back control. "I'm going to heal," DA Brat said, determination in her voice. "It's not going to be easy, but I know I'm strong enough to get through this." DA Brat wasn't just moving on from Judy, she was rediscovering herself, her purpose, and her worth. She wasn't sure what the future held, but one thing was clear, she was no longer afraid of what was to come. "I'm ready to embrace my future," she said with a small smile. "Whatever it looks like, I know I'll be okay." DA Brat's journey wasn't over, it had only just begun. Despite the pain, the betrayal, and the heartbreak, she knew that she would emerge stronger than ever. She had shared her truth with the world, and now it was time for her to reclaim her life. "Love is hard," DA Brat said, her voice steady. "But the most important love is the love you have for yourself. I'm learning that now." She wasn't looking back anymore. She was moving forward, one step at a time. And though her story with Judy had come to a painful end, DA Brat's story was far from finished. She was ready for the next chapter, and she was determined to face it with the strength and resilience that had always defined her.